If you want more content from We Studios, check us out at weepodcast.com. That's weepodcast.com, where you can find our Simpsons podcast, worst episode ever, our commentary series, Sync Points, and other episodes of 90s Percentile.
Yeah, and while you're there, you can click our Amazon links and banners. That helps keep the show free. We get a small cut. You just click them, shop like you normally would on Amazon, and that helps us out. And guys, we love it when you help us out.
Yeah, and you don't have to shop like you normally shop. Just buy a ton of
shop
shit
like
that
a
you would
crazy
never
millionaire.
Shop like a crazy millionaire. Shop like Trump.
That should be our new tagline. Shop like a crazy millionaire, like Donald Trump.
And that is there it is. Let's talk some 90s.
Enjoy the show, guys. 60 minutes are on the clock, and straight out of We Studios, this is 90s Percentile. My name is Dan.
My name is Jack, and we're talking everything 90s and maybe everything also before and after.
And we are joined by a guest today, a very special guest indeed. His name is Alex Plasencia. Say hi to the people, Alex.
Oh, hello.
Alex is my brother-in-law.
Hi.
What does that make us?
Absolutely nothing. How you doing, Alex?
Oh, I'm good. Big fan of the podcast, guys.
All right. And
Yeah.
Alex, you are a history teacher. Is that accurate to say? And also a track coach?
Oh, I am.
That's
yes.
how people would know you best?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
You're
yeah.
also not new to We Studios. If anybody's downloaded our sync points for Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, you were our guest speaker on that.
Yeah, backed by popular demand. My Twitter was blowing up after that one.
I'm sure it was. We'll plug your Twitter later. But,
Thanks.
Alex, you're also running in the New York Marathon this year.
Oh,
is
wow,
that
really?
correct?
Oh, that is accurate. Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
so people
yeah.
could look for you on the big day. When is it? End of October?
November 6th,
November
the beginning.
6th?
When
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
start training for that? Already? Or
January.
okay.
Yeah, he's been deep in training.
Well, that's funny
Oh.
because
Can't you tell? Look at this svelte man.
Does the marathon?
it out.
Does the marathon route? Me and Dan live on the same avenue.
Yes,
4th
in
Avenue in Brooklyn. And
Well, okay, maybe we don't. We'll work that out.
there's only about 2 million people who live on 4th Avenue in Brooklyn. No, but the route goes right past my front door. I watch it
Yes.
every year. Does it go past yours?
Not well.
You're a little bit before the turn, right?
No,
The turn's on 92nd Street.
Oh, is it? Okay, then it's
It
past
passes
me,
you, yeah. No, yeah. So
Now we're
but
getting real
I was just
specific
going to
to
say
where
it's
I
really
live.
cool that you're going to run past both of our places, but you
Yeah.
will be running past We Studios.
Yeah.
That's right. And
Nice.
I'll do all my impressions for you guys as I pass by. You know, my
All
dope.
right.
You know, I got to do good Homer. Up to a good start.
Great start.
Yeah, stick to running.
So, Alex, as our guest today, it is your right to choose our first topic, but you may waive that right and instead go with the Wheel of 90s Topics, which I think is what we're going to call it.
We'll come up with something better.
There is literally no wheel.
Let's try to top that.
They never
didn't.
did.
They never did.
You know what? Let's give the people what they want. Spin that wheel.
Spinning the wheel.
All
Okay,
right.
Alex is a risk taker. He's going to go into the bag.
Random 90s topics. Turn, turn, turn. Tell us the topic that we will learn.
All right, so here we go. This topic comes from Steve Schrader, longtime We Studios listener. His topic is hip-hop Looney Tunes. Hip-hop Looney Tunes is our topic,
first
boys.
of all, it's really interesting that I just did an Animaniacs joke and then hip hop Looney Tunes.
You're right.
Is the Animaniacs considered Looney Tunes? Are they in the universe?
No, I would say no.
I remember they were on after Tiny Toons,
Yes,
which is
for
Looney
a period
Tunes.
of time. Well, the Tiny Toons were a sequel, I would say, to Looney
Yeah.
Tunes.
It's Looney Tunes.
Looney
universe.
Tunes light,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
It's
but
the Netflix Daredevil to Iron Man 3.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly the analogy that's appropriate
What's his
here.
face? Maximilian was the kingpin of
Montana Max? You talking about Montana Max?
Yeah.
He was the kingpin of the Tiny Toons universe.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
I'm not familiar with this at all.
You're not a
What-
Tiny Toons fan?
No, I know Tiny Toons. The whole
Oh, all right.
Are you talking
Tiny
about
Toon
hip-hop
Adventure,
Looney
the
Tunes?
hip hop version of this.
So I'm assuming
there's
he's
a
talking
couple
about
of
the
things.
T-shirts.
There's a couple of things I think he could be talking about. So one is T-shirts. I remember in like 1991, 92, when Crisscross was super popular, they were wearing their clothes backwards, and I know I definitely had, and they were very popular, a shirt where Bugs Bunny and the Tasmanian Devil were dressed up like them with backwards clothes.
I don't remember backwards clothes.
Everything was backwards,
You
and
don't
the
remember this
tail
at
came
all?
out of the
I
fly.
remember.
Yeah.
I remember. I still have a shirt from 7th grade that I love. It's Tasmanian Devil dressed up as a cop, and the front shirt is Taz, and the back of the shirt is the back of Taz.
Okay.
But he's not wearing it backwards.
So he's just dressed as a cop.
Yeah, but
that's
you
the
get,
opposite of hip-hop.
But you get both. Taz Lives Matter.
It's true. But I think there was also some kind of, I don't know if this is what he's referencing. There was some kind of Looney Tunes reboot, I want to say after Space Jam came out, where it was like Extreme Tunes or something. I think that might have been what it was called. I'm going to look it up, but it was like the Looney Tunes are back, and now they're like popping fresh, and they're saying stuff like
poppin'
radical. Isn't that what somebody said in the 90s?
I think that's that's the opposite of hip hop.
You might be right about that.
Like that scene in Straight Outta Compton. Let's get that beat started. Beep boop, beep boop. I think we got something. Get Paul Giamatti on the horn.
That was my favorite scene in Straight Outta Compton. And then when the Looney Tunes came in, it was like, what's up, Dr. Dre? Thanks, I'll be here all week. No, I'm going to look it up. I don't remember what it was called. It was like Extreme Tunes or something.
Extreme All right. Well, I do remember. I feel like I've seen them dressed up in like 90s, like loose, baggy clothes, hip hop clothes, backwards hat, baggy jeans, but turn like with their backs to the for lack of a better word, the camera.
Right.
But I don't remember the clothes actually.
Their clothes
being
were
backwards.
definitely back.
And you would
Everything.
wear your clothes backwards. That was the style.
That was a
Like
very
your tag,
popular
like
thing.
your tag would be scratching your Adam's apple.
Yes, this was a crisscross thing. They make you want to jump, and also wear your clothes backwards.
Is
and also
it,
one of them is
do they
dead.
wear it backwards
That's
because
true.
that's like sort of crisscross, like they crisscross their wardrobe?
I have
Am I overthinking
absolutely no
this?
idea why they did it, why it was popular. I don't know.
But
It
I do
was,
remember the T-shirts and the apparel and like a lot of like modern, like not just hip hop, but also I had like a tie where they're all on the subway. They're all just hanging out. I had a black
Right.
and white cool poster when I was in high school where they were playing pool, and it was like they were in this cool lounge playing. It's just like all these scenarios where like, look how cool and realistic the Looney Tunes are, which
Yeah.
is silly. They're Looney Tunes.
I found the show I was talking about. And
Uh-huh.
It came out in 2005, so it's definitely not what Steve Schrader here is
Okay.
bringing up. It was called Lunatics Unleashed, and it took place in the year 2772, and they all had superpowers.
That sounds horrible.
It
That's
lasted
awful.
one season.
Is that
oh, no,
real?
2 seasons,
Is
actually.
that real?
It's on Wikipedia, Jack, so it must be real. Alex, have you ever seen Lunatics Unleashed?
No, I can't say I've had the pleasure.
You had better things to do in
But
2005?
perhaps I was a wee high school student back then, just trying to make his way in the
2005?
world. Yeah,
Wow,
Oh.
young.
just a spring chicken.
You were in high school in 2005?
Yeah, I was
You were a
graduate.
senior.
Yeah, 05.
Right, okay.
Yeah, vitamin
Okay.
C was still a thing. She was big.
The vitamin, not,
Oh,
not
yeah.
the
No,
singer.
yeah, not
Like I
the
said,
singer.
vitamin
the
C is
vitamin.
still
Yeah,
around.
it's
Yeah.
still pretty big.
Oh,
it's
is
in all
it?
the fruit snacks still.
Oh, good. I should go check it out.
Yeah. You look a little jaundiced, so I think you need some vitamin C. You're going to get scurvy, Alex.
I don't get out a lot.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, no. So that's what Warner Brothers executive said. You know those classic cartoons that have entertained generations upon generations? What if we put them in the future and made them extreme?
Yeah, I think that person was fired, is what I think.
Yeah, like just do another Looney Tunes cartoon. That's
So
all.
this is not helpful to the listeners at all, but this is the image that
Yes.
I definitely
I had the
on a
exact
t-shirt.
shirt.
I had
So-
this on a shirt.
Taz has got his arms crossed.
Right,
and
and they are made
Classic
to look
B-boy
like
stance.
Yeah,
this is when
exactly.
Taz actually became popular. Taz was never a huge
No, he was
top
not.
tier Looney Tune until these hip hop and 90s stuff started coming
Well,
out.
he became. I don't know why he became so popular, but then they had the show Tasmania,
which was a result of
his popularity. Yeah, that was like
yeah.
1993, I think.
So like,
Good
look,
show.
You got like who was originally big? You got Daffy, you got Bugs,
You got Bugs,
Porky.
Porky Pig.
Why Taz? What does Taz have? What characteristics of Taz made him like? Oh, let's make him the guy that's got his arms crossed and the backwards hat.
Alex,
Straight-
what do you think?
Straight hip hop. Look at him.
He's
B-boy
straight,
stance.
straight dope hip hop.
That's it.
Taz don't give a fuck. He'll
Like-
throw down some beats.
like rappers on
Spit some
stage were
bars.
just like doing tornadoes.
Yeah,
like, just
absolutely.
spinning in place.
I'm sure that's a thing, like doing a tornado. I don't know. I
Those
don't.
break dancing.
Wasn't
I don't
that,
dance.
wasn't that Jay-Z's first big hit, Do the Taz?
Yep. H to the Izzo, T to the Izzaz. I was in trouble the second
The
I
second
started
you
that.
started.
Bail out.
The second I started that. Yeah, this was a popular thing because I'm Google image searching hip hop Looney Tunes, and there are a lot of very similar shirts with them wearing backwards clothes.
Can
They're
we
wearing
Google-
Penguins jerseys for some reason.
Wait, what?
Penguins.
That's
jerseys.
not very hip hop.
I remember there was an All That girl that would wear a Penguins jersey in the opening theme to All That.
All That girl. Do you mean a cast member from the TV show All That?
That happened to be a female, yes.
Okay, all right. And she wore a
In the
Penguins
opening
jersey?
credits, she wore a really big, like loose Penguins jersey. Yeah.
Was it Lori Beth Denberg?
No.
And it's the only person I remember from All That who had not male genitalia.
Must have been a simpler way to say that.
Nope.
All right, so
There
hip
was
hop
not.
Looney Tunes. Are there other genres of hip? Is there classic rock Looney Tunes?
I don't know. Are there like country Looney Tunes? Actually, I bet there probably are
There's
country
gotta
Looney
be, right?
Tunes. I'm gonna let's Google
Elmer
that one.
Fudd is definitely like a big country fan, right?
I don't
Foghorn
know. Jack.
Leghorn.
Yeah, I
Little
could
country.
see. I could see him singing some "Sweet Home Alabama."
I'll say.
Who's voting for who? Who's voting for Trump out of the Looney Tunes? Foghorn Leghorn? No, Foghorn
Yosemite
Leghorn.
Sam is definitely
Definitely.
voting for Donald
You
Trump.
think so? You think
yeah.
he's Ted Cruz?
He wants his guns. He wants America to be great again.
Wants to build a wall. He wants
He
to do it
also
all.
has terrible hair.
I feel like he might be Ted Cruz.
Wasn't Yosemite Sam bald under his hat, and that's why he wore the hat? I think that's very Donald Trump. No?
Trump should grow a Yosemite Sam mustache.
You know what? I might vote for him. If he had a
And
Yosemite
that's like
Sam
one of those things
mustache.
where people say, okay, clearly Donald Trump has now lost his mind. He just threw the election away. And then
Yeah.
his polling points would go up 20 more points.
And what if he started talking like Yosemite Sam? Then I might definitely vote for him.
Wait, that's
But
Foghorn
I
Leghorn.
can't actually think of how Yosemite Sam
How
talks.
does he...
Ooh, that who knows nation? They're gonna build a wall and we're gonna make them pay for it. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that a lot.
All right, who's voting Hillary Clinton?
I could
Bugs?
see.
Bugs is kind of mainstream. He's a little too straight-laced to go full Sanders, right?
You think maybe? I don't know. You know what? I think Bugs Bunny doesn't vote because Bugs Bunny is cool like that.
No, people who
apathetic.
don't vote are
No,
are
I
kind
don't
of
vote,
lame.
and I'm super cool.
People who don't vote,
Kids, don't vote.
they are the...
I never voted in the 90s, and I don't vote today, Jack.
Who's voting for Kasich?
Ooh. Porky
Who's-
Pig. Porky Pig.
Yeah,
Straight laced.
You're
yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Very bland and doesn't... Yeah.
Republican.
This will be very interesting to people listening to our backlog in 2017
When they're like, "Who's Kasich?"
when the clear winners were obviously...
Before the iron fist of Trump fell upon America and podcasts were outlawed.
Yeah. You know who would vote for Trump? The monster. That big orange hair.
The big, yeah.
Just hair?
Yeah, it just looks like Trump's... The
It
top
looks like
of
Trump's
head.
hairpiece. Yeah, I think you're right.
I think he relates on a
Maybe
level.
it is Trump's hairpiece. I don't know.
I don't know. And he likes to get manicures, which I'm assuming Trump does
I
as
think
well.
Trump loves to get manicures.
All right, so let's look up classic rock Looney Tunes.
All right, let's see what we get.
I honestly think hip hop's probably the only thing that's coming out of this.
I think so, but it is so weird.
There's
is
Trump.
not two
There's,
things-
There's Trump getting his nails done.
That's not two things that you would ever think would go together.
Oh, that's a GIF. That's amazing. There is a GIF
is an
of
amazing
Bugs
GIF.
Bunny giving a manicure to the big
the
orange
big
monster.
hairy red monster.
You say red.
I would say he's red.
He does look kind of red there, but I always pictured him orange.
All right,
The
Alex, what do you
the
think? You're the
monster?
tiebreaker.
Poppy red?
Poppy red? Get the fuck out of here, Alex.
It's somewhere in the middle.
What's
All
poppy?
right. I've
It's
never
an
heard of
orangish
poppy
red.
Like it's
a-
popping?
it's a
What do you
Crayola.
mean by
I've heard
poppy?
of burnt sienna. Do you mean burnt
No,
sienna?
that's not
I,
burnt
I meant poppy red, sir. This is a 90s
how dare
podcast.
you.
What's poppy?
Okay.
What do you like the poppy seed?
No.
No,
It's just
those are
it's a
black,
red that
black, right?
pops.
Okay.
It pops. It's got a little
I
more
got you.
vibrancy.
All right, what were we saying?
Didn't I say something about popping fresh earlier? It's a 90s thing, guys. We're popping and locking all day long.
All right, I'm gonna look up country tune.
All right, do it.
Not country tunes.
Country tunes. Here we go.
Country roads.
Country Looney Tunes.
That's the first country song I thought of was Country Roads. It's sort of country. John Denver.
Country
Looney Tunes, we got
So
nothing.
hip hop seems to be the one genre there, and future 21st century robot ones, whatever you were talking about before.
Future 27. Oh, Lunatics Unleashed you talking about?
Lunatics Unleashed. That doesn't even sound like if I was
No.
opening up a TV guide and it said Lunatics Unleashed, I wouldn't. And I was the world's biggest Looney Tunes fan. I wouldn't watch it because I'd be like, is this about that
Yeah.
time that mental hospital went all over?
Can I continue reading from the Wikipedia page
Of
for
course,
Lunatics
that's
Unleashed?
quality podcasting.
Okay. They were on the fictional city planet of Acmetropolis.
What?
It got knocked off of its axis, and instead of the planet getting destroyed, a meteor crashed into it, releasing waves of supernatural energies that caused 6 of the planet's residents' genetic code to be severely altered, giving them special abilities and gifts.
no.
What does that have to do with anything related to the Looney Tunes?
So we had Ace Bunny. He was a descendant of Bugs. Lexi Bunny, a descendant of Lola. Danger Duck.
Wait a
descendant
second.
of
So
Taffy Duck.
Bugs and Lola don't have descendants together? They never.
I guess
made,
not. They
made
never boned.
bunnies.
They never went to the bone zone.
Spoiler alert, guys.
No bone
So they
alert for
both
Bugs
went their
Bunny.
separate ways and had. Although it's weird that they have kids in the first place, like Buster and Babs Bunny they weren't
They weren't no
descendants.
relations, Jack, as
because
their joke went.
because as soon as you have descendants, that means you have to assume at some point Bugs Bunny had sex with a female bunny, and that's kind of gross.
Yeah, and if you're Jim Rash and Nat Fexen, the second you have descendants, you get an Oscar. They wrote the Oscar-winning
Yeah,
script
yeah,
for the
yeah.
descendants. I'm explaining for the listeners.
Yep.
You guys got it.
Guys, a question about this image here. Was there a live-action Looney Tunes film starring what looks
Yes.
like Brendan Fraser?
Yeah, it was
Yes,
called Looney Tunes Back in Action.
directed by Joe Dante.
Director of Gremlins and Gremlins,
2,
2.
Matinee. Yeah, it exists. It's not good. Steve Martin plays the president of the Acme Corporation.
They got Steve Martin in this one.
They did.
Oh,
They should have made this
got
robots Unleashed. What is this?
Yep, robots. No, that's a different. That was the Terminator check.
They should have made this a movie.
Yeah, I would. I might see Lunatics Unleashed.
Why
as a
wouldn't they just
movie.
make Space Jam? That's Looney Tunes in space, and it's much better.
I have no idea, but Slam Tasmanian was the Tasmanian Devils.
Slam
Oh.
Tasmania.
Like this sounds very 90s, but
Wait
it was
a
in
second.
2005.
But Taz's first name is Tasmanian. Why
Ta-
would, why
yeah.
would this guy's last name be Tasmanian? That would be like my great grandson's last name being Jack,
I have no idea.
like being Slam Jack.
Slam Jack's not a bad name. It sounds like a transformer.
Grandkids, if you're listening to Grandpa Jack right now, I'm sure I'm long dead.
Little Slam Jack Jr.
I want you to have your kids. Please name your kid Slam Jack.
I like it. Slam Jack. I'm
Please
gonna name my
legally
firstborn Slam
legally
Jack.
change your last name from Pacone to Jack.
Yeah.
And then name your firstborn Slam.
I
In
like
honor
it.
of me, I'm assuming you're listening to all of my podcasts.
As you decreed in your will, you must listen to every episode
I won't
of 90s
give you any of my
Percentile.
podcast empire money
No, of
unless you
course
listen
not.
to every single episode. And then what you're going to find out after like 600 of these is that there was no podcast money.
Spoiler for episode 600 of 90s Percentile.
Please shop on Amazon
Well said, Jack. Well said.
for Little Slam.
Do it for Little Slam,
So we
everybody.
can feed Little Slam his Soylent Cream.
I think we may have exhausted our talk for hip hop Looney Tunes. You guys got anything else you want to say?
I really liked. I was a big fan of the hip hop T-shirts and the
Yeah.
Looney Tunes, the 90s Looney Tunes again. But it wasn't just them dressed up in things. It was also them in weird modern situations. The
Yeah.
pool lounge, the subway.
We had a weird obsession with the Looney Tunes for a little while in the 90s.
What was that?
I guess
Was that
it
a baby
Tiny
boomer
Toons.
thing?
I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? Well, Spielberg was.
It might have just been the reruns being on
Spielberg
TV.
brought Tiny Toons back, and Spielberg grew up on Looney Tunes. So I
Right.
bet you it is a baby boomer thing.
Well, Looney Tunes was only ever back in the day. You would see it in the theater, like a movie theater, because I don't think it was
Right.
on television.
no, not until
Until
maybe we
maybe
were
the
little
80s or
kids.
90s,
Yeah, in
yeah.
the 80s they had the Saturday morning Looney Tunes.
Right, the Bugs and Tweety hour.
Yeah,
show.
yeah, exactly. So it's got to be a baby boomer thing. That's
Yeah.
why they came back,
Ugh,
and they
baby
came, but they
boomers.
came back in style because you didn't just have the hip hop clothes and they were everywhere.
Yeah.
You had Tiny Toons, you had Animaniacs, you had
Right.
Space Jam.
Yep.
They came back in full force. I'm
kids
really
loved
shocked
Space
they
Jam.
felt the need to make this horrible future planet thing. Like that couldn't make any less sense. Like why not? All right, so if you're a big fan of Looney Tunes cartoons, you watch
I
them
am.
all. They're
Okay.
all either timeless or they clearly take place in the 60s.
Well, the ones about Hitler and such,
Well,
those are
yeah,
not
yeah,
timeless.
Yeah. Well, but like the period ones, there's not a lot of 60s technology in there, but whatever technology is in there, would be like 60s, 50s stuff.
Sure.
Rotary phones, types of cars.
The old Victrola.
So if you want to make new Looney Tunes, couldn't you just do the same basic 7-minute shorts, but have them take place in a world
the
where
modern
there's
day?
cell phones and internet and stuff? Why would you jump ahead 170 years?
On more than 100, it was 2772.
Oh, that's 700 years.
Yeah,
that's,
we're going
that's
way
after
into
that's
the
after
future.
Next Generation.
Yeah.
That's way out there.
Maybe they were inspired by the next generation to just do something. I don't know. Actually, that's a good question. Why do you think they made this was clearly supposed to capture kids who like superheroes and stuff? Do you think that's what they were trying to capitalize on
Yeah,
with
if kid-
Lunatics Unleashed?
Yeah, kids in 2005 were huge Next Generation fans.
No, not Next Generation.
Everybody had the Jean-Luc Picard shirts on, and no, I know. I guess that's what it was. But again, why do you assume that all kids love sci-fi future stuff? Like I love sci-fi future stuff, but
I'm
I
not
also
assuming
love
that. I'm
Looney
asking.
Tunes.
I'm
No,
asking
not
you
saying you. I'm
guys.
saying the
I
executives.
see. I'm asking you guys what thing. People in Hollywood don't have original ideas. They just tend to cash in on whatever is popular at the moment. So what was popular that made some executive think Lunatics Unleashed was going to be a good idea?
That's what baffles me.
We
Again,
have no idea.
Again, if you're gonna do a modern Looney Tunes, just do modern Looney Tunes.
Like
Well,
X-Men, maybe. I
Well,
don't know.
2005, there wasn't even the superhero movies weren't even out yet. That doesn't come
Well, they
for a few more
were.
years.
There was kind of like the first wave of superhero movies.
but none of them took place 700 years in the future.
That's a good point.
Make them modern superheroes. I can
That
relate.
we know of.
That's an interesting idea. Looney Tunes meets Marvel Comics.
What if the X-Men Apocalypse movie ends and it's just like, by the way, guys, it's 2772,
Holy
and we never told you
And
about it.
Wolverine changed the past, so now all of the X-Men
Yeah.
are Looney Tunes descendants.
I'm in for that movie. I would like to watch that movie.
I don't know. It seems like the most asinine. It seems like a sketch, like that Key and Peele sketch where they come up with Gremlins 2
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
It's like, how do you come up with what was it called? Lunatics Unleashed?
Lunatics Unleashed.
That doesn't even sound like a sci-fi show. It doesn't sound like a superhero show. It doesn't sound like a Looney Tunes show.
I have to imagine all these reasons are why the show was not popular and did not last very long.
All right, let's take another major cartoon from the series. All right, let's take Popeye. Let's
Okay.
come up with a new modern Popeye cartoon that has
Okay.
none of the characteristics of Popeye. Like, where is it taking place?
So do we want it to capitalize on things that are popular today?
What is no? Because what
No.
the hell is Lunatics Unleashed?
It's
want it
loosely superheroes.
I want it to be the Lunatics Unleashed of Popeye.
Because the first thing I thought of was Popeye's a fighter. He's a UFC fighter now.
Okay, well, all right,
In
Lunatics.
the future.
All right, what's it called? Because Lunatics Unleashed, the only thing that is there is lunatic is sort of the root for loony.
Right.
So what would the Popeye title that if you read it you would have no idea? Would it be something about spinach?
It would be like iPop, maybe? Like lowercase I, capital P
Spin-
pop.
Spinach Wars?
Spinach Wars.
Let's call it Spinach Wars.
All right. with the iPop.
iPop : the Spinach Wars saga.
Okay, that sounds believable.
iPop: the Spinach Wars saga. What century is this taking place in?
You gotta do even worse than Lunatics Unleashed. This is like 3772.
Okay.
We're way into the future.
Oh,
All right.
jumping the shark
Animals
here.
can talk.
All right,
We're
okay,
all
right.
telepaths.
All the animals can talk. We're telepaths.
Yeah.
We've evolved. We're not even humans anymore.
Right.
We've evolved past that.
Bluto's not human. What would Bluto be in this
All right,
crazy
so,
future Popeye?
So what would be Bluto's
Bluto?
descendant?
Bluto?
It would be-
The big guy that Popeye's arch nemesis.
His name's Bluto?
Yeah.
What did you think it was, George?
No, I just guess I never thought of his name.
You're a
There's-
big Popeye fan.
There's an olive oil, right?
oh
Yes.
my.
Yeah, there's-
Okay, there's
Yeah.
a Popeye.
Right. So let's
There's
talk about
Wimpy.
olive oil. You're familiar with olive oil.
All right,
What,
so-
yeah.
so
what
who-
is 30th
All right, but
30th
remember,
century
it's
olive oil?
oil's descendant. Her last name is
Right.
Olive.
Right.
It's not
of
oil.
course. Right.
Wait, it's not olive oil, it's just olive?
Well, if
unless
we're
she's a
going, if we're
robot.
going by the Slam Taz rules, your last name is now your first name,
Right.
or your first name is now your last name.
By the accords of Slam Taz.
So her name would be Green Olive.
I guess.
Pimento Olive.
Is she
Calamara.
green? She's
Pimento
part
Olive.
alien in this series.
She's like Gamora.
She's like Gamora.
From
Yeah, there you
Guardians
go.
of the
All right,
Galaxy.
so we got that.
Okay, so we've got olive oil down.
Right.
Wimpy has to be some kind of hamburger obsessed robot, right?
Absolutely.
Wimpbot 5000.
That just sounds like Pimpbot 5000 from Conan, which was also a very 90s thing. But I could see it. All right, Wimpbot 5000.
Okay.
And we got, what was the,
Well, what's
the little
Bluto?
kid?
We haven't done Bluto yet.
We haven't done Bluto yet.
Sweet
okay.
Pea is the baby.
What if Bluto is like a force that he's fighting? Like like the
He's
Foot Clan.
he's an intangible. Oh, I thought he was saying
Oh,
he's like an
oh, like a literal
intangible.
force.
He's
Okay,
the
I like
gray
that too.
goo. He's a nano gray goo. He's Gudo.
He's Gudo the nano cloud that
Yeah,
iPop must destroy
Gudo is
in the
he-
Spinach
All right.
Wars.
So he's
You know, when you put it all together, it sounds a little unbelievable.
is it
No.
is it any more unbelievable than
It is.
Lunatics Unleashed?
Equally believable as Lunatics
All right,
Unleashed.
and so Lunatics Unleashed doesn't even take place on Earth. It takes place on planet Acme or whatever.
Yeah, Acmetropolis, I think is what it was.
well, that's the name of a city. First of all, that's not even the name of a
Well,
planet.
it was a city planet, if you heard me right
Oh,
before the
oh
first
God.
time, Jack.
Like
it was like
Coruscant?
a city-state like Athens.
Okay,
and,
so they stole from Coruscant. So what planet? What is the name of the planet in Popeye iPop the Spinach Wars? And what planet are we stealing it from the Star Wars universe? Coruscant's taken.
All right. I feel like
Hoth?
we got to steal
Jakku?
Jakku, maybe.
Jakku?
I don't know if it should be Hoth because I don't see Popeye fighting in the Arctic.
Yeah,
I could see him fighting in the trees with Wookiees. Maybe we'll take Kashyyyk.
Kashyyyk. Okay, so it's a Kashyyyk type planet. What's the
Yeah.
name of it? Is it like?
Let's see.
So we've spinach is taken.
Spinachopolis? We could do that.
If we want to go right with Looney Tunes.
A little on the nose.
Well, it's not.
According to the Accords of Slam Taz, is what the name would
but
be.
it wouldn't be Opolis because it's not a city planet. It's a forest planet.
Okay, so it would be
Central Park was the closest thing Popeye had to
Spinachagoya,
a
like
forest.
Segoya, but mixed with
Oh, I think you're
spinach.
saying like Goya spinach.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Fine, like Goya Spinach. They're a sponsor of the show. They got to name the planet, and they named it Goya Spinach.
So the planet in what is it 3,777?
Yep, we gotta
Is called Goya spinach.
Yep.
In iPop the
Yep.
Spinach Wars,
Yes.
starring a villain named Guto, the gray
the
goo,
nanotech
the
cloud.
nano goo,
Yeah.
pimento olive. Is that?
Pimento, green
olive
olive
is
the
the,
Gamora of the the yeah.
Wimpbot,
Wimpbot
5000. What is Popeye? Who's the Popeye? Who's Ace Bunny?
He's not iPop. I picture.
He's iPop.
I think he's a cyborg. He's got bionic arms.
He's-
for
Oh,
sure.
for sure.
And he eats spinach, and they turn into guns, or like he eats spinach, and then he can transform them into whatever he needs for the situation.
And he uses a smart pipe. That's his.
I
That's
like
his
it.
like because Popeye has a pipe.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that would
okay.
be his like VR.
But we can't show him smoking because we don't want kids
Oh
to.
yeah, this is
kids
a
to
newer.
smoke.
This is
so
for
he has
kids.
to vape.
I forgot. This is for kids. He's
So
vaping.
Popeye's vaping on the planet Goya
he
spinach.
vapes spinach.
Yeah, he vapes it. He vapes his spinach, and that's how he gets his superpowers.
Healthy choice.
And in
Guys,
in the
$1 million property right here.
and
We'll get 2 seasons
We'll
out
do
of
it.
it.
We'll do a 26 episodes. We'll do two 13-season arcs.
I'm in.
The season finale of season 1.
Yeah.
He accidentally vapes gray goo. He vapes Guto and
Oh my
becomes
God.
a iPop Guto combination.
Whoa.
Just like the Borg taking over Picard. Is that what we're going with
That's
here?
what we're going with.
Touching on next
It
gen.
ends with resistance. Resistance is feudal. Whoa!
Uncle Joey.
It's Uncle Joey. All right,
Uncle
guys.
Joey's also in it.
And Uncle
Dave Coulier does all of the voices.
Absolutely.
Dave Coulier does every single voice.
Wow, this just became a $1 billion idea.
He does every voice except for Green Olive, like how Tom Noonan
Right.
does all the voices in Anomalisa, except for the 2 main characters.
That was more obscure than I think our listeners
It
know.
was an Oscar-nominated movie.
I haven't even seen Anomaly.
It's a great movie. Check
All
it
right.
out. It was done by Starburns' animation studio.
Oh, was it? I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Well, guys, I think we've tapped out our hip hop Looney Tunes
I don't
conversation.
think we tapped it out. I think we've created
And
a
we've
new
created
media
something
empire.
wonderful. Yeah, I think so. So I don't know who owns the rights to Popeye, but get in touch,
Get in touch with us because we own the
We'll
rights
work
to
for scale.
iPop the
Yeah,
Spinach
that's right.
Wars.
We'll get on there. So, guys, are we ready for a new topic?
Yes.
I think so.
I think we
I think
are.
we were ready 20 minutes ago.
I think you might be right. This is a night podcast, so those tend to be a little long in the tooth. All right, here we go. Our next topic.
Have we ever done a 90s at night?
I believe we have. Yeah,
Which one?
I don't remember.
I don't think we have.
Our minisodes have both been
Well,
night
those are
episodes.
minisodes. This is
Yeah.
this is full.
Those we
this
cut
is
ourselves
full staff 90s percentile.
This is fully
full
erect
staff.
90s percentile.
This is fully erect 90s percentile.
Alex, does it make you uncomfortable that we're all fully erect?
No.
Did it make
No,
you
no.
comfortable that we told you you couldn't show up until you were at full mast?
Well, that's why I was watching 80s porn downstairs.
All right,
Oh,
it's
it
making
was
our
great.
listeners uncomfortable.
Yeah.
80s porn. We're
Yeah.
talking
making
about
me
90s porn.
that
on this
80s
show.
porn is
Oh.
making me very comfortable because
Hey-o.
that is my porn of choice.
Right in
We all
your
know-
wheelhouse. Hey-o.
Jack's been Googling vintage porn ever since our episode with Dan
It
Ozzie.
makes everybody uncomfortable because I use the big screen.
It really does. We've been meaning to talk to you about this.
We still say 60 minutes on the clock out of habit, but honestly, if we were
There's no
being
clock.
honest, we would start the show with 80s porn is on the clock. And this is 90s percentile.
Oh boy. Well, with that out of the way, our next topic, as requested by Yakub Bayani, also requested by the planet Jakku from The Force Awakens. This is a good one. It's The Fifth Element.
Oh, yes.
That is, I can't think of who directed The Fifth Element.
It's
Genius.
What's his face?
The French guy.
Luc Besson.
Luc Besson, yeah. And it's his best film.
I agree with you.
Although
It's
I've
his
never
best
seen
film.
The Professional, so.
Oh, that's right. He did
But
do
I've
The
seen everything
Professional.
that came after Fifth Element, and it was
That is
all
a great
kind of.
movie. What did he do after The Fifth Element? Let's not talk about The Fifth
He
Element.
did-
Let's talk about the post-Fifth Element
He did the
movies.
Joan of Arc movie with his wife Mila Jovovich.
Right.
Oh wait, that's not his wife.
I think.
I think they might have been dating around Fifth Element, but she married the guy that did Resident Evil, Paul W.S.
Anderson,
Yeah.
not to be confused with Paul Thomas Anderson.
He might have done John. No, I'm pretty sure Luke Besson did Joan of Arc.
Well, he definitely did
He-
Joan of Arc if
he
she
likes-
was his
he
wife.
likes
And that was
French.
his wife.
No, he did. He did something. He did Lucy with Scarlett Johansson recently. That
Oh,
was
I didn't
supposed to be
see
one of
that.
his better movies of late.
Okay.
He's produced. He's a big producer. He's produced a lot of. He produced Taken.
Okay.
And
All right.
District B13. All those.
So
kinds
he's
of
doing well for himself.
Actiony movies.
Good for him.
Right.
He also did La Femme Nikita, which I like, but it's Fifth Element to me is one of those rare movies that set what it set out to do. It executed perfectly.
Right.
Maybe not as good as RoboCop because RoboCop is one of those movies that everything it set out to do, it did masterfully and perfectly.
Yeah.
But Fifth Element would be a close second. It's one of my favorite action movies of all time. It's one of my favorite
damn good
90s
movie.
movies.
Yeah.
It's one of Bruce Willis's best non-John McClane roles.
Yeah, I think it's probably Chris Tucker's best role, right? It's,
Yeah, he's
what
great
is
in it.
Ruby Roo, right? Is
Ruby
that his name?
Rod.
Ruby Rod, yes.
He's
okay.
great in it.
Come in!
Come. I ain't got no fire. So let's explain what Fifth Element is in case you haven't seen it.
was
And
love.
if you haven't seen it,
It was
just
love.
just pause the podcast and watch the movie.
Yeah, it's probably on
spoilers.
Netflix.
It was love.
It was love. It was love. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, what is the movie about?
The movie is about, okay, so Bruce Willis is a cab driver in the future.
Yeah, it takes place
And-
500 years in the future in New York
Right.
City, maybe New York City.
The lunatics have been unleashed.
They've been unleashed. Ace Rabbit is.
Yeah. Gary Oldman plays Ace Rabbit.
No, so yeah, it's this mysterious force is coming to destroy Earth,
Right.
And there's a religion and a prophecy. Ian Holm is great in it. It's
Yep.
it's an action comedy. It's very comedic.
Yes, it is. Mila Jovovich was she some sort of like created being? I don't even remember.
she
It's
was
been a while since I've
she
seen
was
the
like
film,
in a
to be
coffin
honest.
for 500 years. She sleeps
Right.
and she awakens, but she was blown up in a crash because this mysterious dark force, which is literally just like a giant flaming skull asteroid.
Yeah.
It is working through Gary Oldman, who is a billionaire, like Mark Zuckerberg type.
Right.
Mark Zorgerberg. His name is Jean Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg, I believe.
Yes, Zorg was definitely
so,
in there. Yeah.
And he's working for this guy, and he's this man on the inside doing the practical stuff. He shoots down the ship. She dies, but they found her hand in the wreckage site, and they used modern genetics to rebuild her from that hand.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know if that's because she was rebuilt, if she lost her memories, or if she would have lost them anyway, or maybe because she was sleeping for 500 years. But
Yeah.
basically, she doesn't know what the hell's going on. She's very new, but she's a super genius and she's a super athlete.
Lilu is her
Lilu.
name.
So
Yeah.
she immediately starts learning the English language, and she escapes and she lands in the cab. Of,
Right, with Bruce Willis.
Of Bruce Willis, Corbin Dallas.
Yep.
And he's like he was an ex-special
He's a
forces.
blue-collar
He's just a
type, and
blue-collar
he's,
type. He drives a cab.
I don't know nothing about
Now-
saving no
and
universes.
he falls in love with her at first sight. Now it's the two of them versus the world, basically.
Yeah.
And they're versus alien species. They're versus evil. They're versus Gary Oldman, who is
Right.
Amazing.
chewing up scenery like
So good.
there's no tomorrow, and he's so good. And actually, he and Bruce Willis never share a single scene.
I was just going to bring that
There's
up.
one
didn't
shot.
even realize
yeah,
that.
there's
Yeah.
one shot where they're in together, where they pass by each other and
I can't think of
and don't notice.
I can't think of any other movie where the protagonist and the antagonist do not meet at all.
Star Wars.
No.
Darth Vader never meets Luke Skywalker.
But they're in the same room
All right.
together.
Well,
they
were in the
face off against
I'm
each
sure
other
there's
in
a
a
few
dogfight.
movies.
All right, listeners, you let us know on the
But
Reddit.
I'm sure there's some. But,
But
yeah,
for
you're
me-
right. You're right.
You mentioned it's a flaming skull. It was like a parallax, or what's the character from the Green Lantern?
Oh, you're talking about the fear demon that
Yeah.
can take over the Green Lanterns?
Yeah.
Yes, that's Parallax.
That's basically what
it's
it
a
was,
giant
right?
yellow space bug.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, everyone started bleeding out of their nose when it got close.
Oil. They bleed
Yeah,
oil.
right.
They bleed oil.
right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Man, I need to rewatch
Oh,
this
it's
a good
film
so
movie.
good.
because
It's
I haven't
so
seen it in
good.
full in a long.
It's one of
long
my
time.
favorite sci-fi movies. It's the first movie I can think of that had the three-dimensional like fast traffic highway where you just have the cars speeding by, the flying
Right.
cars, because it's Manhattan in the future. All of the buildings are hundreds and hundreds of stories. Basically, where we are now, the first 50 stories are in just like smog. You can't even see
Right,
them.
you can't even go down there.
There's a really cool shot where a space shuttle leaves from basically, it might be JFK, but it looks like it's leaving from the Staten Island ferry, and it's a very quick shot of what New York City looks like, and basically New York Harbor has been filled in with land, and it's all just one gigantic mega city.
Yeah.
Also, it's the capital of Earth. The
Which
president,
it should be, really. Come on,
the
guys.
president lives in the president's capital is in New York City. The White House is in New York City. It's in a
Yeah.
skyscraper, and the president is played by Tiny Lester,
Oh,
who is
oh,
like
yeah.
a big black guy from No Holds
From No
Bar.
Holds
He's got a
Barred.
lazy
Little
eye.
Nicky he was
he's
in.
he's the villain, and he's the guy that throws the bomb off the Staten Island ferry. In,
right. In
Dark
Dark
Knight.
Knight. Yeah.
What a great choice for president, because he's
Yeah.
like really commanding and forceful. But even then, that almost predated the whole black president trope of movies and TV, where they
I guess that was a trope. You had Deep Impact.
Oh
Morgan
yeah,
Freeman
yeah, it was a huge
president.
trope. Yeah, 24 did it. It was because Hollywood is
Olympus
liberal,
has
and we
fallen.
were trying to get black presidents in the White House, and it wasn't happening. So we just started
Well,
writing
hey
it.
man, we did it. Okay, so you are saying that the Fifth Element was responsible for Barack Obama getting elected to the White House?
No, I'm saying Fifth Element solved racism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Racism over.
Racism
glad-
over. Thanks, Fifth Element.
I'm glad we could.
The
I'm
Fifth
glad we could
Element
do that.
was anti-racism.
You know what, Jack? It was. 'cause it was love.
No, the Fifth
that's it.
Elements. The 5 elements is Earth, Fire, Air, Water. It's
Heart, Captain Planet! Hello, planet! The power is yours!
Dun, 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 dun. No, yeah. So it's these 5 stones that they have to get to the secret site.
Right.
It's a really like simple plot. It's a chase
is,
movie.
yeah.
But the action is so much fun. The humor is so offbeat. It's
a-
so
yeah.
much fun.
It's a very quirky
It's such
movie.
a cool look of the future.
It is not.
McDonald's is still around. Like the cops are all fat and they order drive-through. And I
Right.
love like in the future all the McDonald's girls have like huge boobs and they're showing cleavage.
Yeah, I bet you like that, Jack.
Yeah.
Well, it was just
You
showing
watch
like
that part over and over, do you?
Nah, it wasn't 80s enough. But no, it was showing how it was like showing like, all right, if we continue on the path we're on in 300, 400 years from now, we're just going to be this like highly sexualized, where like it happened to our pop stars, where now they all have to wear pretty much nothing. You can
Right.
imagine in the future that McDonald's uniforms would just be big cleavage, like
Yeah.
supermodels. Also, they're like multiracial. They're like a darker color, but they have freckles and they have blonde hair, And there was a lot of weird, subtle things they were trying to say.
Yeah, I need to rewatch The
It's
Fifth Element
such a,
for sure.
It's such a cool film. Luke Perry, who was pretty big still, the movie came out like 96, 97.
Yeah.
He was in the
He was in there?
opening credits. He was in the first scene.
That's right.
That takes place in
He's
the-
one of the explorers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
Aziz, light!
oh yeah, I gotta say, I've seen the end of the movie so much more than I've seen the beginning.
And the end's probably the least best part, although the end
Yeah.
is great.
Oh, that's a great action
It's-
sequence, though.
Yeah, like I remember the end pretty well.
The
But
scenes, it's amazing that Luc Besson, how are you saying it?
Luc Besson.
It's amazing that his rest of his movies aren't as good because.
Well, you've never seen The Professional.
No.
The Professional is a great movie.
But all of his other following movies, because he's clearly talented. The
He
scenes
topped
are
it.
so the dynamic of the dialogue and the shots. It's him. The movie is good because of him. It's really well done. All right, I have a Fifth Element story that I
all right,
just
go on.
remembered.
And then I have a question for you guys.
Okay,
But continue.
So I saw Fifth Element in the theater with my mother and my sister.
Okay.
I guess I was 12 years old. Me and my mom, huge Bruce Willis fans. We saw all the Die Hard movies, and we saw Die Hard 3 in the theater. So we go to the theater. We're sitting in like the second to back row.
Okay.
It's empty theater. It was like a 2:00 in the afternoon. Maybe
That's
it
one
was
of
a
the
weekday.
makeout rows, Jack. I'm just pointing it
No,
out.
I was not making out with
Alright.
either of them.
Okay.
So it's the three of us. We're back there, and a group of like mentally ill patients come in,
Okay.
and this.
No, you mean like differently abled individuals?
Yes, exactly.
Not like escaped mental patients.
all right, no, mentally.
Not lunatics unleashed.
Yeah, not,
right?
not mentally ill, mentally challenged.
Okay, yeah.
yeah. You know, they come on like the short bus and they go for a field trip.
I don't think short bus is appropriate, but
Well, it was literally like one
no,
of those
I know. But
accessorized short
I
buses.
think short bus has become a slur, for lack of a
Oh,
better
I don't
word,
mean
for
the
those
short
type of
yellow
people.
bus. I mean like the
Right.
white and blue accessorized buses
I
that,
know
they, that they travel
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway.
so they come in. When I hear short bus, I think of that movie with the
I also
actual
think of that
simulated
movie.
sex scenes.
Yeah. Who directed that? It was somebody weird, right?
It was Luc Besson. He
it was Luc Besson. You're right.
He likes non-simulated
Yeah.
sex. He
Yeah,
likes
yeah,
real
yeah.
sex.
Of course he
Anyway,
does.
so they
He's
all
French,
come
you
in,
know.
and me and my mom, we all look behind like, oh, this is weird. And the whoever's with them, the caretaker is like, oh, sorry, this is the wrong theater. They were looking for some animated movie. So
Okay.
they all go back out. So anyway, we're watching the movie. My
That's
sister,
the end of the story.
That's the end of it. My sister goes, I have to pee. She must have been 10. So my mom goes, all right, I'll take you to the bathroom. So they go to the bathroom. It's just me. I have the entire theater to myself now.
Okay.
All right. So suddenly one of the mentally challenged people just comes in.
Oh, no.
Looks around and maybe I was in the back row. Maybe I wasn't. I wasn't the second. I was in the back row because
Okay.
I was obsessed with sitting in the back when I was younger.
I love sitting in the back now.
No. Now I like the middle.
Well, right in the middle. is
Front,
the best,
front,
yeah.
front row before the front row of where it starts to go on the incline in the stadium.
Right, yeah.
That way you get the leg room, you get the bar.
This man has it down to a science, people.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so now this guy's like he looks around and then he just goes right behind me and stands right behind me and he's breathing heavy. He's just like,
Oh, yikes.
and then suddenly two of those I don't know the caretakers, orderlies, whatever, they come in and they're like looking around and I can tell they're looking for him. Basically,
Yeah.
he ran out or they lost him, and
Oh.
I'm 12. I don't know what to do.
Does this story have a sad ending,
No,
Jack?
no, no,
Okay, good.
but
good,
it
good,
was
good.
just-
They shot him dead.
There really is. It ends there. But it was just one of the scariest like minutes of my life because the
Okay.
guy's right behind me. I don't know what he's gonna do.
I thought he was
I'm-
going to like come in and fart.
I'm too scared to like.
Those are the stories I
I'm
like.
too scared to tell these guys like, hey, he's right behind me because
Right.
he's right behind me. I don't know if he's gonna snap my neck or what.
Yeah,
You know, they
okay.
have inhuman strength. Of course they don't. Of course they don't.
Okay.
I'm basing him on Sloth from Goonies.
Of course. Hey,
I'm-
he came
I'm-
in and said, "Hey, you guys."
I'm clearly generalizing. No, anyway, so they, so it's really scary, and they're looking for him. Finally, they find it, they see him, and they like talk him out. They're like, come back, and it was just, and then they leave. They all leave together. I was just so scared, and then my mom and sister come back in, sit down, and they had no idea.
They have no
anything
idea.
happened.
Yeah.
That's my Fifth Element story.
Does that color your viewing of Fifth Element now? Like at the scene where that happened, do you like, this isn't the
you know
same
what?
without someone behind
it
me?
might have, but my mom got it on VHS as soon as it came out. I must
Yeah.
have seen the movie.
You watched the shit out of
50,
it.
60
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
It really is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Nice.
It's if I had to name what my favorite 90s action movie is, it's top 5.
Nice.
It's top 5. Speed and Die Hard 3 may be the only other.
Both also great
Contenders,
films.
Die Hard 3.
Die Hard 3
Die Hard 3 is my
great
favorite Die
movie.
Hard.
It is underrated. I
Very
like it better
underrated.
than the second one for sure.
I like it better than the first one.
Second best Die Hard, right, Alex?
Second best
Come on.
Die Hard.
It's my
I know you like it the
Die Hard
best,
1's the
Jack.
better movie. It's better.
Yeah.
It's better. It's the better movie. But Die Hard 3 is just much more fun to watch. That's my movie.
There's something to that. I
Yeah.
agree with you. Here's my question that I was going to bring up to both of you. So we're talking about how great The Fifth Element was. It blended humor and action, and it was this crazy, over-the-top sci-fi movie. It was just a lot of fun. They don't make a lot of movies like that anymore. What's like a Fifth Element
Crank.
type music? I don't know why I said music. Type movie I meant.
Crank.
You think Crank?
Crank is like definitely more extreme, but Crank reminds me of a Luc Besson movie. It reminds me of Fifth Element.
Crank is way over the top, and it's
Looper,
an awesome movie.
Looper is much more subdued, but it has some quirky dialogue
I would
scenes.
never think to pair Looper with The Fifth Element.
It has
but
some
there's
weird,
something to
quirky.
that.
Like there's a scene where Joseph Gordon-Levitt they're chasing maybe Bruce Willis. They're chasing somebody in
Right.
the cornfield.
Yeah, are
and
you
they-
just naming Bruce Willis movies?
Yeah, and then they start chasing like the bad guys are chasing Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and then they
Yeah.
decide to change topics, and they like veer 90 degrees in mid chase, and like
Uh-huh.
now they're all chasing the same people, and it's like weird fun dynamics. Like, oh, that was a little silly. You
Yeah.
know, like those moments. Except in Fifth Element, those moments are every 2 minutes.
But in terms of films that are action films first and then they have comedic moments, they don't really make that anymore. They have comedy films that have the action. Like Spy is one that comes to mind, which is a great movie.
Which one?
Spy. Yeah, that was a great movie. The
But
Melissa
it's-
McCarthy movie with yeah.
Definitely comedy first, and then they have some action sprinkled into it. Like you think of the '90s, you think True Lies, you got Die Hard, you got Fifth Element. Like those are all funny films
all
that are
great
great
movies.
action movies
Ant
too.
Man is supposed to be a comedy action movie.
Ant-Man is a very funny movie, Jack.
well.
and I like it a lot.
For one thing, I disagree. I thought Paul Rudd's chick was a little tired.
No.
For the other thing,
not.
I
Your
don't
shtick
get,
is tired.
and I don't get why they call it a comedy when it's.
Well, I don't think they
but
didn't
I-
bill it as a comedy. It
But
was
the,
a superhero.
but the comedic elements were just as strong as they were in the Iron Man movies.
I think because it was much more tongue in cheek. Because it's like, hey, it's Ant-Man.
I
Like this
guess.
guy's not Thor. He's
But
fucking
the
Ant-Man.
comic relief came as frequent, if not less frequent, than say Iron Man 3.
Well, Iron Man 3 was Shane Black, so
Yeah.
that's a whole different
I'm just
story.
saying. But anyway, so all these Marvel movies, they're kind of action comedies.
Yeah, I feel like they might be trending like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
That's,
yeah.
that's
There's
definitely
the
a
example.
comparison point.
Yeah.
I was actually going to bring up Jupiter Ascending. I know Alex has seen
Not
it. I don't
funny
think, I
on
don't know if you've
purpose.
seen it. Well, some of it maybe is.
That had the more traditional like one-liners and
but
stuff.
that is that did not work for me. I hated that movie.
Poor
Just-
Eddie
just
Redmayne.
I
get
didn't,
that
I
out there.
didn't hate it.
But it's a movie that goes
Yeah.
for it. Like it's a crazy
Yeah.
sci-fi movie that goes for it. And I feel like The Fifth Element was in the same vein.
Maybe the reason Fifth Element works so well though is because I don't know if they were going for it in the way of like let's just go all out and do whatever we feel like. I think it was more like we have this very specific story we're going to tell and we know exactly how to tell it. Maybe that's the
Maybe.
same thing.
It might be. I mean, it's saying like Luc Besson just made that movie.
Yeah, like I would say Jupiter Ascending, the way you're saying go for it would be the another metaphor would be swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Fifth Element wasn't swinging for the fences; it was just Babe Ruth doing his thing. It was just like he just like casually took a swing, he pointed, he swung, and it just went over the wall.
Yeah. I'm looking up Luc Besson real quick because I wanted to know what did he do right before The Fifth Element? Was it just
Edge of Tomorrow.
no?
That's not. I'm not answering your question, but is that
Edge of Tomorrow.
as
Yes,
an
that is
action
fun, yeah.
comedy?
a great action comedy movie. If you haven't seen
overrated.
it, no.
No,
Everyone
it's
listening
good.
to this podcast, should
Overrated.
go
Oblivion
and
was
I
see
thought
better.
it was going to be shit. It was
Are you, wait a
really
minute.
fun.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah,
Oblivion is definitely not
Oblivion
better
was
than
far
Edge of Tomorrow.
superior to Edge of Tomorrow.
The,
Edge of Tomorrow,
the
Edge of-
soundtrack to Oblivion is
Edge
awesome.
of Tomorrow was a good movie, but I do not get why it was so overrated. It was better than the usual schlock that was out, but it
Oh,
was
you don't
not,
get why it was so overrated? Because it wasn't
it
overrated.
was
Jack.
it was
Burned.
not sci-fi second
You
coming.
bit.
I don't understand. It was
High five, Alex. High five.
I just it was like it was good and it was better than the usual schlock, but it was nothing special. I was shocked at how people were just like, "Oh my god, it was so good."
Well, I think
Oblivion was a great movie.
I want to get back to talking about Luc Besson and The Fifth Element, but for Edge of Tomorrow, I think it was very poorly marketed, and people didn't expect it to be funny at all. They did not advertise the humor aspect, and it was a very funny movie.
Oh my god, it was so good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was good.
All right. Jack doesn't know what he's talking about. Alex and I are going to talk about Edge of
And
Tomorrow
I
for the
love
next
Tom
17
Cruise.
minutes.
I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. I get a lot of enjoyment out of Tom Cruise movies.
The point I was going to make, the reason I was looking up Luc Besson's filmography here, so he made Leon the Professional in 1994, and then The Fifth Element came out in 97.
Yeah.
And that was the next film he did. I would imagine that the goodwill he got from making The Professional was just some studio said, we'll give you X budget, make whatever
Was
you want.
Professional Hollywood or was that a French? It wasn't a French film. Right?
I don't think it was a Hollywood movie.
It was like an independent American film.
Because it was Jean Reno, who's a famous French actor.
Well, he's
and
famous because of that, right?
This is Natalie Portman too, right?
Natalie Portman,
Very
she
young.
was her
Wasn't
first major
famous,
role. She was
yeah.
like 14. And Gary Oldman was also in The Professional and is also terrific in The Professional. But that's kind of it for stars. I think it was a low-budget kind of independent movie.
So basically, Fifth Element was like, all right, you did a really good movie. Here's your big ticket item, which is very common practice now.
Which happens a lot now. Like you had Colin Trevorrow made, what was it, Safety Not Guaranteed.
Which I didn't see, but
It's a good movie.
But all I can say is Jurassic World was fucking shit. So.
I did not like Jurassic World, but that was the next movie he made, which
Yeah.
was a
And now
significant leap
And now he's
forward
making episode 9,
budget.
which is just like, it better be better than Jurassic World, because Jurassic
Yeah.
World was fucking shit.
Well, at least Ryan Johnson is writing the treatment for episode 9. Ryan
Yeah,
Johnson,
well.
who directed Looper and is also doing episode 8.
I hope they treat it right.
I hope so too, and I just rewatched The Force Awakens, and it's a solid movie.
Yeah,
It's all right.
it was good.
Jack's just a naysayer today, but my point is, I feel like Jupiter Ascending was the Wachowskis spending the very last goodwill they had from making
People
the
were
Matrix
really like,
movies.
all right, this time they're going to get it right. And
Yeah.
they didn't.
Because
Although I heard Sense8 is pretty decent.
I watched the first
Their
episode of
Netflix
Sense8.
television show.
Yeah, their Netflix series. I watched the first episode and I did not get into it. I could see it getting better. It's very Lost-like.
It always amazes me when a director does something that's brilliant, genius, and then can't repeat that. And I know that's a horrible thing for me to say, because maybe I'll
Right.
get lucky one day and make something genius, and then for somebody to go, okay, do that again.
Maybe we'll make a good episode of a podcast
Yeah,
for once.
Once, maybe. But then for somebody to go, do that again, that is a horrible thing to say.
Right, it's tough.
But it amazes me that it happens. Like, The Matrix is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah. I'm talking about 90s action movies.
And they couldn't
there
even.
you go.
And then the Matrix 2 couldn't even really hold a
No,
candle.
not at all.
Like we said with Luc Besson, nothing after The Fifth Element came close. Training Day. I was like, Training Day is one of my favorite movies, and I was like, oh man, I'm a huge Anton Fuqua fan now.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that movie wasn't good. All right, what? So that the studios must have interfered. All right, next one. Oh, wait. He's not a good director at all. Those are horrible choices he made. How the hell is Training Day so good?
Well, what was his follow-up to Training Day? Do you know offhand? Or?
King Arthur? Maybe?
No, I didn't see King Arthur.
There might have been something in between.
Training Day is a great
But
movie.
then people
though.
will say,
Yeah,
well,
great.
okay, maybe the screenplay was really good, but the screenplay was written by the guy that's doing Suicide Squad now.
He directed SWAT and
Yeah.
Smoking Aces, right? I
Yeah,
can't
and
think of
those
his
were
name.
terrible movies, and
Yeah.
Fury was okay, and I just like, all right, so maybe like it's amazing that you can get brilliant works from people who might not be that brilliant. Maybe they just got lucky.
This is the classic like M. Night Shyamalan. He hits
Yeah,
it with a
there's
Sixth
another
Sense.
example.
Even Unbreakable was pretty good, but then it's like Lady in the Water, and it's like, no, thank you. Am I right,
She
guys?
should stay in the water and drown.
Take a deep breath. Am I right?
They should do a Lady in the Cut, Dan Mulhall, the Lady in the Water, Dan Mulhall cut, where she just drowns in the first scene, and then the audience goes, woo!
It would be a much better movie because that movie is a piece of shit.
Underrated in that.
No, it's not underrated, Jack.
In that it's not.
Jack,
it's
you
not,
have no taste
it's
today.
It's not good, but it shouldn't be as derided as it is. It is not terrible. It's just not good.
I think I've seen all of M. Night Shyamalan's movies except After Earth, which I
haven't
heard
seen
was
After Earth
terrible, but not that terrible.
I haven't seen After yet.
I watched The Visit
I think The
recently.
Village is a million times worse. Well, maybe not worse than Lady in the Water.
The Village wasn't so. I only saw it once, to be honest.
I only saw it
with
in the
you
theater,
in
yeah.
theaters.
And I saw the twist coming a mile away, and I was just like,
Right.
and then it ruined the movie for
The-
me,
the
which is not
Village-
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Village was just everyone knew there was going to be a twist, and then the twist was kind of stupid, and it kind of ruined everything that came before it. But it was this really like atmospheric movie.
The first act was very good.
Yeah, I agree. Like they weren't actually monsters, but the monster
Yeah.
costumes that terrified me.
There
in
were
the
a couple of
theater.
really
Spoiler
terrifying
alert, by the
scenes.
way.
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't seen The Village by now, don't watch The Village. Or do. I don't care. Do whatever you want. You're free.
Watch
You're
the
free to do what
Village
you
Dan
want.
Mulhall cut where Bryce Dallas Howard drowns in a pool in the first scene.
Well, if she drowned, she couldn't be in Lady in the Water. But speaking of M. Night Shyamalan, I just watched The Visit. Have you guys seen that
Not
one?
yet,
That's
no.
the one that just
Found
came out.
footage.
It's a found footage one. Man, it suffers from being a found footage movie. And that's another one where the twist, I saw it coming a million miles away. And I didn't like the movie except the last, 20 minutes, except for the last 5 minutes
Except for
were
the
really
twist.
good.
Yeah.
Well, no, the twist wasn't even at the end. I don't want to talk too much about it because
Was the twist at the beginning? Was it Bryce Dallas Howard drowning in a
she
pool?
drowns, and that's the twist. And
Hi guys, I'm here to visit.
she visits the Grim Reaper as she drowns in a watery grave.
I thought you were gonna say she became a turkey.
She what? Why would she become a turkey?
She's like, hey guys, I'm here.
Now that's
That's a twist nobody
you
will
cannot
see
see coming.
Holy shit.
Bryce Dallas Howard, who's not billed as being in The Visit, turns into a turkey within the
very
first 5
scene
minutes.
of the movie.
Yeah, and then it moves on, and then the rest of the film happens.
They-
It's almost like a short, like a Looney Tunes short before the movie. I would see that movie.
M. Night Shyamalan should start doing 5-minute shorts before his film where Bryce Dallas Howard either drowns or becomes a turkey.
Yeah, I would absolutely watch those.
The shaggy turkey.
But he's so
I'm into it.
he keeps getting big budget film after big budget film.
Well,
Somehow.
he kind of doesn't. He's had to scale it back
He has had to
significantly.
work a little hard.
That
for his-
Airbender film, I mean, that was
That was a big budget movie.
mistake.
That was a big piece of shit.
I don't understand what happened. I think it's basically the kid that he cast looked just like the cartoon character, but he was a terrible actor. Or maybe,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I will say this. When it came out, the special effects was one of the best special effects I'd ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a bad
Overall,
movie.
not a
And
good
then
movie.
and then I didn't know anything about Last Airbender. I didn't know what it was about going into it.
Yeah.
And now that I've watched the entire series and the other series, and it's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Airbender fan. It just makes me that much more upset that he like kind of ruined this
He
live action
ruined the
movie.
franchise. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he kind of hasn't gotten big budget stuff. Like The Visit was very low budget. It was a Blumhouse production, which they do Paranormal Activity.
Oh, I read about that. Yeah, it's this guy. He basically
Jason Blum, I think, is the
he
producer's
he
name.
refuses to make a movie for more than $1 million.
I think it's 10 million. He won't spend 10 million
Yeah.
total,
He-
including
yeah.
marketing and
he
everything.
cranks out like 45 movies a year.
Right.
And he will not go over budget, which is a big thing with movies. They always
Yeah.
go over. He will not give you the
Like
money,
the
and you'll just have
Purge
to
was
make
one
do
of his.
Yeah, and basically 99% of
Activity.
them will clearly just be terrible, but there's always one that it just worked out
It
well.
makes like
and
20 times
And
its
because
budget.
it made its money, it not only recoups its budget, it recoups the budgets of all the other movies that year. It's an amazing business model.
It's a great business model, and I
kind
hope
of-
it's one that more people in Hollywood take advantage of, because
Yeah.
then we get these better, small, indie feeling movies.
Yeah. Hollywood, give us $100 million.
We'll make
we
that
will
Popeye
make
movie.
We'll make 100 great movies. All of them will take place in the 42nd century.
Yeah.
And have the villain in all of them
They
will
will-
be Guto.
Yeah.
Even if we do like a Holocaust World War II period film,
Yeah.
we will somehow get it to 4750.
Absolutely.
And Guto will team up with Hitler.
You got to have the Guto, Jack. That's what the kids want. That's why you're paying that admission into the theaters. I wanted to say
That's
something.
why.
I wanted to say something else real quick. I don't know how we got talking about M. Night Shyamalan when the topic is Fifth Element.
Yeah,
but
who did that?
M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, Fifth Element, Sixth Sense. Seventh Seal.
Eighth is enough. I
Eight
don't
is
know. That's
enough.
all I got. But M. Night Shyamalan is doing a Tales from the Crypt reboot series. Are you guys at all excited about that? I think it's going to be on TNT.
I'm not a big Tales. I never
I'll
watched
pass.
the show as a kid.
I love Tales from the Crypt.
I'm all for having a fun horror anthology show. We don't have one.
Me
so.
too, because nowadays when you say anthology show, a lot of people think you mean like American Horror Story would be a horror anthology because it's a season-long story and then each season it changed. But I am a huge, huge, huge fan of the actual anthology series, like a Twilight Zone or a Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah. Actually, the last guest
I'm
on
excited.
I wish she was here. The last guest we had on, Christine, I was once driving to Maine with her. We were in a car, and I had a big argument with her. She was like adamant that anthology TV shows could never work because you can't get invested in the characters or anything.
No, not at all.
And since then, a lot of shows. Back at the time, there were no True Detectives. There were no American Horror Stories.
Right.
So this is, history has proven her wrong and me right. But
Well, those are season-long arcs, like True Detective.
yeah, but
or whatever.
we were talking specifically. Well, we were actually talking about World War Z, the book.
Yeah.
And I said this was before the movie was even in pre-production. I said I would love to adapt that into an HBO series. And I was like, every episode could be a completely different chapter. And World War Z is just a bunch of short stories that are very loosely connected.
Right, great book.
And she had 2 points. One, a zombie TV show would never work. Which,
Boy, was she right.
and 2, that I really hate shitting on you, Christine, right now because you're not here to defend yourself. But you were way wrong.
We'll
But
have her back.
she was basically like, anthology shows wouldn't work because you can't get invested in the characters. Every week you would have to hit the reset button. And
Yeah.
I do think that works. I think that's great. And I used Twilight Zone as an example, and she said, well, things were different in the 60s, and she's right.
She's
She was like,
right.
point to a modern example, and I couldn't.
I mean, the most modern anthology series that I can remember was Masters
Freaky
of Horror.
Links.
Not Freaky Links. No one remembers that one. No, Masters of Horror on Showtime was an anthology horror series where different horror director,
Like a legendary director.
yeah, would do a different episode, and they were kind of like short films in themselves. They even released some of them. I think Joe Dante's, I don't know why we keep talking about Joe Dante, his episode Homecoming was released theatrically, I think.
Well, that's what these even Twilight Zone, that's what these anthology shows are, is that they would be, they're just a series of short films, really.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about the Tales from the Crypt
I'm
thing.
not excited, but
I
I'm
hope
not
so.
against it at all.
Well, maybe excited is not the right word. I'm cautiously optimistic, as I am for most things, because Hollywood ruins most things.
All right, so it looks like Luc Besson's next directorial movie is Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, which, if you thought a city planet was intense, imagine one city
With
that is
1,000
1,000
planets.
planets. Not 1,000 planets that is one city.
Yeah.
One city that
That is
is
1,000
so
planets.
big, like I guess it had like Staten Island's a planet, Brooklyn's a planet,
All right. That's pretty insane.
Queens is a planet.
I gotta say, I saw the title. You brought up
can't
the
tell if it's
IMDb
animated
page.
or not.
I don't know. It's based on a French comic book, I would imagine, because it was written by Pierre Christin and Jean-Claude Mézières. But it's starring Cara Delevingne. I don't know how to say her
She's
name.
that model that's
Yeah, she was in
With the
that.
eyebrows. Yeah, there
Yeah.
she is.
well, we
the
all have
eyebrows.
eyebrows.
Yeah, well, no,
most of
those
us.
are pretty pronounced.
Yeah, she's going to be in Suicide Squad. I know she was in Paper Towns, which I haven't seen yet. But she's going to be in it. But I also saw Ethan Hawke and John Goodman were going to be in it. So I am
John
in.
Goodman, I'm signed.
Ethan
Sign
Hawke's
up.
still
I'm on.
still a thing. He's still
Oh,
around.
yeah. Ethan
Oh, yeah.
Hawke was just nominated for an Oscar, wasn't
He's
he?
in
for
What are you talking
Magnificent
about?
Seven, I believe. He looked really grizzled.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I like Ethan Hawke a lot.
I like him. I think
Like Training Day.
Hey,
no,
right?
I like him a lot. I think he can be a little heavy-handed, but
Yeah.
but no,
I'm-
for the
I'm
most part,
generally
for the
a
most
Hawk
part, I
fan.
am pro Hawk.
Pro Hawk.
I'm a Hawk.
You're a Hawk? All right.
Alex is clearly a Hawk Dove. And Bryce Dallas Howard, Hawk
It's a
Turkey.
glub.
She's a Hawk Turkey.
Bryce
was-
Dallas Howard, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the show.
That was basically her role in Spider-Man 3. It's like, hey, I'm Gwen Stacy. We were bad
Pretty
turkey
much.
impersonators.
Yeah, we really are. Turkey! That's what they say, right?
Yeah,
That's what they say their names?
Cluck, cluck, cluck.
All right, never mind.
Fifth Element.
Arrested Development here.
Fifth Element, we've only got like 4 minutes left.
let-
what
I-
what
Let's
else
go.
can we say about Fifth Element? Or should we do a lightning round topic?
No, how about this? I got there's a cameo in Fifth Element.
Cameo, not the 90s singer who sang Word Up.
I guess.
No, dude, both of you looked at me with very confused faces.
Are you sure? That sounds
don't
to
know
me-
your early
that
90s
sounds
hip-hop
like,
boys.
That sounds like an unleashed
What's
lunatic
the
to me.
word? A word up.
Oh, I know that song.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good
Word,
song.
word is the
Yeah.
bird. Is that it?
No, that's
No?
from the 60s.
No, but like a rap version.
Bird.
No,
Isn't
no.
word.
Isn't
Oh, that's a good
word
one.
is the bird one of the lines in that song?
I don't think
Sing,
so.
sing the song again.
What's the word? A word up.
Bow.
Yeah, that was
Word,
it.
the word is the bird. Isn't that a line?
Maybe it is.
I
Now
don't
you have me
know.
confused. I don't know.
Bird.
What's it called? Word up?
It's called Word Up by Cameo.
No, there's a cameo in the movie very early on. It's supposed to, I guess, show that there's a lot of crime in the inner city, and Bruce Willis's character gets mugged at his door. There's like
Okay.
a guy. The guy.
This is in the Fifth Element?
Yeah, the guy
Okay, I
rings
don't
his
remember
doorbell. Bruce Willis. Yeah, Bruce Willis looks in the peephole and he just sees his hallway. He opens the door and it's a guy wearing a hat which has a picture of the hallway on the hat, and he's got a gun and he goes, "Give me a
Gosh, give me the gosh.
And Bruce Willis goes, "Oh, is this that new model? Is this the A60 or whatever?"
Oh, I
And
do
he goes,
remember that, yeah.
The safety's on, and he just takes the gun and he arms it, and then because he's a trained armed forces guy, and he
Right.
takes the gun, he turns the gun, and the guy's just like nervous, and he's like, "I'm just gonna keep this gun," and he's like, "Take it, take it,
Right.
just take it."
He
man."
starts dancing
And
down
then
the hallway.
and then it's just awkwardly
remember that
standing there,
part.
so he just starts dancing and then dances down the hallway. Anyway, that guy
great
is
movie.
the main love interest, Matthew Amalric in Amelie.
Oh,
And he was
okay.
in and he directed Gothica and La Haine, The Hate.
Really?
The indie French film.
damn.
We saw Lahane. I remember watching it.
It's a deep cut there.
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
was the give me the cash guy who dances in the hallway with the hallway
I
hat.
had no, and he did the same thing in Amelie because it was so whimsical. He danced down the hallway.
Oh, I think you're gonna say he goes, "Come on, cash."
Oh, he does that too. That was in the post credit scene of
Also,
Amelie.
there's a real thing now that's out that Fifth Element predicted: robot bartenders that are just like little short circuit looking
We have
robotic
robot
arms.
bartenders?
Yeah, they just
What?
turn and they pour your drink. You can order it with like an app or something.
I
and
haven't seen this.
I've seen them, and but the best part was I hope they integrate this into the real ones.
Yeah.
They
Are you
just
talking
go.
about teledildonics on the bartender?
No, the Fifth Element bartenders just go, "You want some more? You want some more?"
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I had not heard about this.
Yeah,
All right, so
yeah.
we're gonna have self-drinking robots, self-driving
Gary
cars.
Oldman's henchman was Tricky, who was a big popular UK R&B artist.
Right.
He was the last Corbin Dallas to try to show his passport to the airport security.
He was not the last Airbender, though.
What was I looking up?
You were looking up the lyrics to Cameo's Word Up to see if it was based on Bird is the Word. I don't know how we got there from the topic
What's that
of the
very
Fifth
popular
Element.
lyrics website that like blew up in the last few years?
Genius.com?
I do remember this song.
Genius.com. I wonder if they have a
Yo, pretty ladies around the world got a weird thing and show you.
So
Why
tell
are
the
lyrics
boys and
websites
girls,
always so
tell
loaded
your
with
brother,
ads?
your sister and your mother too.
All right, I don't see any
We're
birds.
about to go down and you know just what to do.
do.
Because a bird is the word.
Word
Bird.
up. Now, for some reason on this lyrics website, WORD is an acronym,
Which is not, because then
W-O-R-D.
if I see that in lyrics, I would go W-O-R-D. I'd spell it out.
That's like the
Oh, no,
the
that would be
future
W
version.
dash-
That's Cameo Unleashed in 2772.
It's his,
Slam Tasmanian sings that.
it's slam. It's cameo. Slam
Yeah.
cameo.
Of course, using the Slam Taz protocols to get his name.
So, are we saying that Cameo will do the entire soundtrack for our iPop, The Spinach Wars?
Yep, that's exactly what he's going to do.
Well,
the
we'll
music.
get Hans Zimmer, and Cameo will be Hans Zimmer with.
Word up. And Dave Coulier will do all the voices.
I think we've got a hit, guys.
Guys,
Who's
we're really
directing?
onto something.
We haven't talked about who's
M.
directing.
Night Shyamalan.
M. Night. Oh, that's the twist!
The first scene.
Twist is
The first scene is
Is Bryce Dallas Howard
Bryce Dallas Howard turning into a turkey and
Yeah.
drowning.
and drowning, and then the Gluto cloud destroys
Comes
her.
out of the water and it's
It
like
eats her life
yeah.
energy.
She's like the Luke Perry who dies in the he doesn't. I guess he dies of old age eventually, but
Yeah.
he's in the first scene and never reappears.
We have nailed it.
Yeah, so that's it for 90s
That's it,
Percentile.
guys.
Wow.
So, that is it for this episode of 90s Percentile. Alex, you're a fan of the show.
Sure am.
So
Since,
you know.
as of a couple hours
As
ago.
of a couple of hours ago when we said,
Better
hey, Alex, you
believe
want to be
it.
on the show?
First time, long time.
You know how we end every episode is
Absolutely.
by asking, what have we learned today? What have you learned today, Alex?
I have learned that there is no limit to our imagination when it comes to using cartoons in futuristic settings and possibly giving them powers.
You're right.
So
It's a win-win idea, except in the time it was not a win-win idea.
Hollywood
Lunatics
is a
Unleashed.
coming our way.
I think you're right. I learned that too. Jack, what have you learned today?
I learned that Cameo's Word Up is not a sequel to the bird is the word.
It's a shame you had to learn that, but yeah, you shouldn't just assume it.
What is it, instinct?
Yeah.
You're just born knowing that Cameo's Word Up is not.
My first words were, well, Cameo's Word Up isn't based on Bird is the Word.
Mine was bust.
Bus? What a lame first word. Mine was stop, actually. But anyway,
Together.
bus stop. Oh my god! Actually, that's
shit.
very prophetic, Jack.
Yep.
Not pathetic, very prophetic. What have I learned today? I learned first I need to rewatch The Fifth Element, but I definitely learned that Bryce Dallas Howard's acting talents have not been used to their full potential. She would play a great turkey.
Please tell me there is a CGI film that she has voiced the turkey at some point.
We're going to look it up. Maybe she was in Freebirds. That was a CGI movie
Get
about
Ron
turkeys.
Howard on it. He'll direct.
Yeah, Ron Howard will do it. All right. So that's it for this episode of 90s Percentile. If you want more content from us, you can go to our website. The website for this show is 90spercentile.wordpress.com, or you can just go to weepodcast.com. That's weepodcast.com. You can get to the 90s Percentile stuff. We're going to integrate it all there at some point. And
We're
you
also
can get-
going to do a 360 VR studio. Wait,
Are we really?
No.
Oh, all right.
that's
Never
too
mind.
expensive.
And you can get our sync points there. You can get our Simpsons show, worst episode ever. You can check that out. Everything we're doing is there, and you can click our Amazon links. That
Yeah.
helps us out quite
That's
a
great.
bit.
That's the link you want to click.
I always
right.
click on those links.
Alex, you are our guest today. I don't know if you knew that. Do you have anything you want to plug or anything you want to tell the listeners here where they can find you or what you want to do?
Absolutely. I want you to follow Dan Ozzie on Twitter. Okay, he's punk as fuck, and he loves internet porn. You follow. He's a good man.
All right.
We were
There you
wondering.
go.
We were like shocked at like Dan Ozzie's Twitter follow. He had like thousands of Twitter followers, and now I get it. It's because you're just going around town plugging
exactly
the hell
what
out
it
of
That's
it.
what I do. That's why I'm here, guys. I'm here on
you
behalf
guys are a tag team.
of Dan Ozzie. That's
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
You are the blue check.
The Legion of Doom we are.
Which one of you's Hawk and which one's Animal?
I'll be Animal.
All right.
Are you?
Animal's dead, by the way.
Oh, no.
Sorry,
Hawk.
you picked.
No!
It's too late.
But you can always still be a hawk.
That's true.
That's still open.
Don't want to be that
Guys,
turkey hawk.
We're like an episode of Seinfeld. Everything always comes full circle and comes back together.
And we didn't even talk about the biggest, most popular character on Looney Tunes Unleashed, the Chicken Hawk.
That's right. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at ThenDanSays.
I'm at Jackie No Breaks.
And the show, of course, is at 90s Percentile. We're going to end real quick. Guys, something that helps us out a lot is to do iTunes reviews.
Yeah.
Do an iTunes reviews. You want to give us 5 stars? We're not going to complain about that. You want to use 90s lingo in your iTunes review? I think that would be appropriate.
If you want to just put gobble gobble and make your iTunes name Bryce Dallas Howard,
that would be amazing.
As long as
you
it's
get the
5
stars,
yeah.
we don't care. But
we want reviews like 6 Cents guy. We don't want the Lady in the Water.
No.
reviews.
We want 6 Cent style reviews. So let's read one of our iTunes reviews right now.
Yeah.
You can be one of our lucky
Let's have Alex read
iTunes
it.
reviews that we read. Okay, Alex.
Oh, yeah.
So why don't you read this one right here, Alex?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Flashback to the 90s. Rating 5 stars. This podcast causes you to relive your childhood in the best ways. Super Soakers, Ninja Turtles, boy bands, you name it.
Thank you for using your real accent for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
I was getting a little tired of your radio voice.
Your radio voice, yeah. It's nice to hear your real voice every once in a while, Alex. That is it for this episode of 90s Percentile. My name is Dan.
My name is Jack, and we'll see you in another century.
What?
Watch out for Guto. Bwom. Bird. Bird is.